Over 10 years ago, my wife and I took a road trip to a winery in Pennsylvania that kick-started my interest in wine and winemaking. Back then, PA was not very well known for making quality wines, and to be honest, it still isn't. But the Pennsylvania wine scene is ever improving, and there are a handful of rising stars that I feel make very appealing wines with great potential. One such winery is Karamoor Estate, which coincidentally is located down the road from my house in the Philly suburbs. The first grapes were planted here in 2006, but they just got the winery up and running in 2012. Karamoor carefully selected their 27 acres of vines to match the soil, and they're focusing on European-style wines, particularly French-style reds and whites.
One of the things that brought me out here to Pennsylvania, even though most of my career has been spent in California making wine, was how well this vineyard was put together, and that reflects in the wines that are made here. We make wine for the world stage, and that's something I learned many years ago making wine in California, and shouldn't be any difference here. Often this Pennsylvania market reminds me of what California used to be 20, 30 years ago. So it's only going to get better. And when you take the time to do the best job out here in the vineyard, you're really going to get a better wine in the end. It's just like making a dish, like a chef is going to make a award-winning dish.
Since the 2008 vintage was released to local acclaim, Karamoor has been expanding its reach and raising the bar for Pennsylvania wine. I first tried it at a festival last year, and I was blown away at the level of quality and authenticity of their wines. This is where I met Victor Ykoruk of Karamoor's sales and marketing team. He invited me in to taste the newly released 2010 vintage. Victor, thank you for having me here today. What are we starting with?
This is the only white in Karamoor's portfolio. This is our 2010 Chardonnay. Granny Smith apples is a little bit of what I get in here, but the perfect creaminess and balance of acidity really makes this a fantastic wine.
That's very light and refreshing, but still has a lot of flavor in it. And one of the things I like about this is that it doesn't have a lot of oak in it like some of the California Chardonnays do. I could see this going with lighter cheeses, maybe like goat cheese, and especially shellfish. With just 4 wines in their current portfolio, Karamoor chooses to focus on quality instead of quantity. I was looking forward to trying their red wines.
The driest of all our reds, our Merlot shows its big, bold fruit flavors. But with 10% Cabernet Franc in there, it also actually has a really earthy balance to it.
Wow, that's a surprisingly big, dry Merlot from Pennsylvania. Really pleasantly surprising. There's a lot of that spice character in there, but also the blackberry and blueberry fruits that I love in Merlot. So this one here is your best seller. This is the Cab Franc, right?
Yes, our Cabernet Franc is receiving rave reviews, both from our restaurant accounts as well as from the retail side of our business.
I've had a lot of East Coast Cab Francs before. This is by far one of the smoothest. This is so easy to drink. I mean, it's so juicy. It's got all that red berry fruit in it. I could easily see pairing this with something like a roasted duck.
And finally, our flagship wine, the Meritage. Our new Meritage is an unbelievable follow-up to the 2008, which happened to have won the Governor's Cup. Again, it's a traditional Bordeaux blend and happens to be the flagship here.
That's just so much more complex because there are more grapes in it, obviously.
Yeah.
But for people who like to drink wines alone, I can see this working. And also for people who like to have it with a nice heavy steak, this would be perfect. So Victor, thank you very much for getting us acquainted with Karamoor Estate. You guys are making some fantastic wines here.
We had a great day, and I really appreciate you thinking of us here at Karamoor.
Cheers. After the tasting, I spoke to Ali Dulock about Karamoor's future.
We would like to be a premier producer here in the state of Pennsylvania. We'd like to produce wines that can compete nationally and internationally. We actually, as of May this year, we planted Viognier, we planted Sauvignon Blanc, we planted a little Pinot Grigio as well. Those grapes, combined with what we have currently planted of Chardonnay, should help us broaden our portfolio, perhaps have a white blend. And then the red grapes that we planted over there, the only new varietal is Malbec, which will help put that 5th grape in our Meritage.
Karamoor's wines can be found in stores throughout Pennsylvania, and they're on the table at over 60 restaurants, including some of Philadelphia's finest. They're having great success with an innovative keg program. That's right, wines on tap. I wouldn't hesitate to call them the leading producer in Pennsylvania, and would encourage you to seek them out if you can. While they currently don't have a tasting room, they will in the future. As always, thanks for joining me here on Wine Living, and be sure to stay tuned for more adventures, both local and global.